So, volcanoes. So this week we don't even have notes for this lab because it's going to be really just an application of the stuff that we have been working on. So this is 100% homebrew lab. You are going to need to draw things by hand. It says hand draw them, and I'm going to have to be hard and fast on that because some people have computer programs that some students have computer programs that they're so good at it, I can't tell if they downloaded it, which I don't want you to do. I want it to draw yourself. If I could tell the difference, I know there is one special, the elementary ed majors are using a drawing program in math where they draw by hand, but check with me if you want to use that. That one is okay. Don't use Corel or anything like that because it looks, it's going to be real. It looks too professional. I can't tell if you downloaded it. So I'm going to ask you to actually make handmade drawings for this lab just because you guys are too damn good, man. I can't tell you're drawing from the internet. So you're drawing from a grad student, and I'm serious on that. So this is basically running through exactly what we've been talking about in class and just taking it up a notch a little bit. So a couple of outlines. You should use a separate piece of paper to make your drawings. Make sure you make a clear picture of your drawings and upload them with the submission. So that very few people had this issue, but a few people were like, you know, took their pictures in a cave apparently because I couldn't see anything in the drawing or something like that. Just take a second to try to take a good picture. If you're having trouble embedding it into the document, don't worry about that. It's got unlimited submissions. You can do it as a second submission. You can upload it directly as a JPEG. So don't worry too much about that. You can either submit the drawings in a document or as a separate file. You can write out any answers on your drawings rather than submitting them in a separate document. Make sure you indicate on your drawing which question you are answering. For example, a big number 5 on the drawing that answers number 5. I have low expectations for the artistic quality. You have seen my cartoons, and no, I have nothing to judge. I cannot judge because my drawings are bad. So, but I do need it neat and clear, and so I can read it. When in doubt, labeling will usually cover what bad sketches can't. So yeah, just put an arrow and write a label. Take a minute to slow down and write carefully. I know I don't always do that. Don't be afraid to call me out on that. So, oh, and you can use maps in your book or Wikipedia. Wikipedia's map, for example, of the Indian plate is excellent. So I've checked Wikipedia for these answers, and better than any other resource on the internet. You can go wide and far and end up with nonsense. I'm telling you, and this is one of those cases where Wikipedia actually, like, their drawing of the Indian plate is in some, like, the boundaries themselves are a little bit clearer and better defined than they are in the book. So on your map of the Indian plate, trace the divergent plate boundaries in red, convergent in blue, and transform in purple. If you don't have these colors, you can use different shirt colors, but be sure you use a key or legend so I know what the colors or symbols represent. And then the rest of this is identifying types of plate boundaries and sketching them. Now let's just take a moment to look over the kinds of sketches that I'm looking for. So let me switch over to Oikos. OikoCam. This thing is amazing. This is one of those, I love this tool. This is my favorite tool. So, so these are the major plate boundary types. When you're drawing a convergent, make sure you draw the right one. So for example, these are the divergent plate boundary. You draw it like this. Convergent plate boundary. This is the generalized one. You'll have to be able to identify it as oceanic convergence, oceanic continental, or continental. So when two ocean plates slam into each other, what's that called? What's that called? If you have two oceanic plates slamming into each other, what's that called? Oceanic, oceanic, excellent Noah, excellent Michaela, excellent. We're just applying these. Really, where this lab came from is I had a much longer, more complicated lab that I teach in the classroom. I just boiled, it had 36 questions. I boiled it down to what I felt were the 10 most important questions. And that's what this document is. It's the 10 most important questions for this particular set of plate boundaries. And then a transform plate boundary. So that's pretty much it. Don't be afraid to ask me if you're having trouble finding the maps in the book, if you're having trouble finding the maps online, don't be afraid to ask me. Like I said, Wikipedia is going to give you actually the most straightforward, plain English answers. There's a lot of grad students out there that are explaining it at way higher a level than we need, and they end up sticking in a bunch of technical information. That's fine, Tamika. That is what lab time is for, is to get help with this. So, so does anyone have any questions right now that I should run through? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to stop recording.